All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our weekly show. We call it Three Broke Guys Handicapping, where we review one of the top racing cards from around the United States. We will select a four-race sequence from that track and attempt to come to a consensus on a pick four ticket. Now, for those who are following us, we have moved to a different platform this week, and it's a little more interactive and allows the audience to watch our broadcast live and even participate if inclined. But we are just horse players, and it may take us a little bit of time to become comfortable with all the controls. Thank you for joining us. My name is Rich Sharp, and each week I'll be joined by my friends and racing analysts. From Staten Island, New York, he was at Belmont Park when American Pharoah captured the first Triple Crown in 37 years. And here's a photo of that memorable day. But welcome, my friend, Mr. Ray Rock.
How are you, Rich? How you doing? Joe, how are you? How's
Good.
everything?
Good, thanks, guys. Good, Ray.
It's a beautiful day. Handicapping.
Yeah, lovely day today.
Now I am going to go ahead and pop up my photos here. And there's Ray, and Ray at Belmont Park. All right, and from Temecula, California, he feeds carrots by hand to the champion racing mare Beholder. That's not just a euphemism or some kind of a crazy exaggeration, because here's a photo of our next broke guy, and he's doing just that. So welcome, Joe English.
Thanks, Rich. How you doing, guys?
Here's Joe's welcome
right.
with Beholder.
Well, thanks for the invite, Rich. It's good to be here as always. I know we have fun doing these things, and it's making my day a little bit better right now. So good. I'm glad to see you both.
You know, you can tell, if you can't tell by the hat, it's somebody's birthday today. So the dinner for my wife was if I was going to take out of my birthday to handicap, you're wearing the hat. So, as I said earlier, my name is Rich Sharp, and Joe reminded me just after we concluded last week's show that the three broke guys omitted a rather special recognition from last week's show. As many of you already know, TVG's racing analyst Simon Bray recently returned to the air. It was just last week after a year-long battle with multiple myeloma. It's a rare form of blood cancer. And as you can see from the photo here, I have met Simon before, and he is as sincere and welcoming as he is brilliant with his racing analysis. So from all of us, welcome back to the Lord of the Lawn.
Absolutely. Actually, it's funny.
Welcome back.
It's funny. I actually ran into him once when I lived in L.A. He was at the next table over from us when we were at Romano's Macaroni Grill. I believe it was in Manhattan Beach at the time. I knew who he was. I just didn't want to go in and interrupt his meal with his wife, so I basically let him be. But I'm sure he would have been more than willing to sign an autograph or take a picture if I had wanted to. So welcome back, Simon.
All right, now we're going to turn our attention to Keeneland Racetrack in Lexington, Kentucky, and probably the best racing card you will find in the country, although all objections from Hot Springs, Arkansas are noted. A brief check of the weather forecast for Keeneland tomorrow. So let's go over there and see what the weather is looking like in Keeneland. Again, I will share my screen with you. Hold on a second. I think I've got that up here.
Just one of the bugs we're trying to work out, folks.
There we go. Not as big as I had hoped there on the screen, but hoping you guys can see it there. That Keeneland makes me smile. Saturday, the 15th or the 16th, 75 degrees, sunny, no rain, no sloppy racetracks, nothing like that to worry about.
Fast and firm.
Fast and firm, like we like it. All right. So we've got a total of 11 races. There are 4 stakes races on tap for today. We're going to cover all 4 of those. We are focused on the all-stakes pick 4. That begins in race number 7. It concludes with the Grade 1 Jenny Wiley. That's in race number 10. So, gentlemen, it looks like our gates are locked and loaded here. Are we ready to go ahead and get started?
Yes, sir.
In race number
Push the
7,
push
I'm,
that button.
I'm going to go to the south here. I'm going to give that over to my buddy Joe. Joe, get us kicked off in race number 7. Here, let me give you. I have the little prep for you here. On race 7 is the Ben Ali. It's a grade 3 for 4-year-olds and upwards. They're going 9 furlongs, as I like to say, or a mile and an eighth, as you often hear around here. It's on the dirt. The purse is $200,000. You're going to scratch number 2. Are you kidding me? Is out of this race. Took a shot at the Maker's Mile today. Leaving 9 starters, and your morning line favorite, Eagle, is in post number 6. I will admit that's a tepid morning line favorite in post number 6. And go ahead, take it, Joe.
No problem, Rich. Eagle's been on our minds before. We actually handicapped him when we were at the fairgrounds about 3 weeks ago in one of the minor stakes there, and he ran a disappointing 4th that day. So honestly, I'm not going to expect much of a turnaround. I understand it's a different surface, a different place, but his speed figures are consistent, but I'm just not. I just don't see him getting to the winner. At least I hope the winner. And I'm going to the outside, J.S. Bach, for trainer Todd Pletcher and Javier Castellano. Combination obviously worked well at Gulfstream, and I don't see any reason why it wouldn't continue. This is really an angle that really has come to light of late, and it seems as if we're dealing with this angle on a weekly basis on this show. Melatonin, Domains Wrap, Smarvelous, Smarvelous is one of the horses, is the horse that beat Eagle at 20-1. It's horses that are coming out of a non-winners of 2 optional claimers and stepping up in the stakes races. I don't think this race is particularly strong. I don't find a lot of horses who I think are going to overwhelm this field. So I think this up-and-comer from the Pletcher-Castellano connections can get the job done. I think he's going to be lone speed, and if somebody decides to go early, maybe inside, maybe General A-Rod for the other Pletcher, I think this horse can sit off. I watched the race that he won at Gulfstream, and he looked very professional doing it. And again, I just think he's going to be lone speed. If I had to mention somebody else, I always like to mention the Grade 1 winners, and in this race, Noble Bird's a Grade 1 winner. He won the Stephen Foster at Churchill last year, and he's had 2 bad races in a row. And I remember seeing an angle, something to the effect that the second to last race was the race that caused him to lay him off. The race back is only his tightener to get ready for today's race. So I'm thinking that he's going to be a little bit better off. I believe the 46-1 blowout workout a few days ago is an indicator that he might be coming back to his best. So if I'm going too deep, I would go with the 10 on top as my top choice, J.S. Bach, and the 4 Noble Bird as my second choice. It's not a real strong opinion, but the race really isn't all that strong. It didn't come up that strong for me.
Let me pull up my template for you here, Joe. I'm sorry about that. Let me get this going. And while we're doing that, let's go ahead and turn it over to Ray. But Ray, give me 1 second to get Joe's 2 picks in there.
Sure.
I think I'm gonna have to trouble with that.
Actually, Rich, it's 10-5, not 10-4.
10-5. I was gonna say
It's the wrong number. I thought I believe it should be 10-5.
All right, we are ready. I got you set with 10-5, and we are going to send it out east. And go ahead, Ray, take it away.
All right, in my pick 4, I'm gonna use number 6, Eagle. He ships in from the fairgrounds. He was second in mine shaft, like Joe mentioned, and also 4th in the Northern handicap. Actually, he's placed 3rd. He is 2 for 2 at Keeneland. He probably needs a little better trip than his previous races, and he'll probably try and stalk the leader and try and get them down the stretch. He goes back to his main jockey, Hernandez. I'm also going to use Noble Bird. He's the only Grade 1 winner. Like Joe said, he won the Foster last year, and he actually is only the only winner at 9 furlongs in this race. Maybe the switch to Le Peru would help, and it's a tremendous workout, 46 from the gate. I'm also going to use Joe's top pick, J.S. Bach. Yeah, he is stepping up in stakes condition, but it's not really a big jump, like we mentioned before. Jumping to a Grade 3 from 9 wins of 1 or 2. He seems to know where the finish line is, and he could only improve going 9 furlongs. And Castellano Pletcher always dangerous in the stake race. They click about 25 to 30%. I want to mention one little long shot. And he is a long shot. He's 31 morning line. um, Hokam, number 7, Hokam. He got me a live pace, and the distance should suit him. And Bridgman likes to bring in those long shots. I mean, he used to bring him in the Aqueduct days, so he gonna be coming running, and this race might fit him very well at a good price. All right, Rich, your opinions on Benally?
All right, so here we are, and I just want to make sure I got these down. It looks like we're going to 4-bagger here for you. And we've got the 6, we've got the 5, we've got the 10, and we've got the 7.
Right.
All right, cool. Perfect. And I will take you. It's interesting. My whole time here could have been spent on, I guess, why I wanted to go against the favorites, and it probably has more to do with my opinion in the last 2 races. So the fact is I think I'm getting chalkier as we go towards the end. So I was probably maybe even projecting a little bit more than handicapping, which I think you both have heard me say before. I really don't like to do that. I really more prefer just a straight handicap, and I'm not real crazy about the idea of projecting simply just based on the odds and trying to get something. That being said, I agreed with Ray's now as saying that Noble Word is the and Joe, you gave him a nod as well. He's the class of the field. If you want to use that double forgiveness angle, which I think is what Joe was alluding to there, don't just look at the comeback race. Look at the race that actually sent him to the comeback trail, and then go one back before that and see that's probably the horse that you're really looking at. So if you look at that, he did fail as the favorite in that last comebacker, and that was just against OC 62.5. It was a pretty bad race. I did take a peek at that one, so it wasn't the greatest race in the world. As I often say, I do like to handicap the jockey switch, and in this case, he loses Sean Bridgman, who I believe may have switched over to race 30-1 shot. Again, it leaves Mark Casse and Julien Leparoux. They are a pretty darn good combination, 32% together, so careful there. But again, I keep thinking that if I end up with Noble Bird and he's very short up in the front end, and I end up with Little Miss, who in the finale, and if the Lexington comes up chalky, this could be another $47 pick 4 that I'm wearing the special hat for. Eagle is the favorite, right? And Joe said we've already got a nasty taste in our mouth from him for what he did to us at the fairgrounds. He did have an excuse. Him and International Star must have a bad relationship or something, because those 2 horses were playing Smash 'em Up Derby there down at the fairgrounds for a little while, and still look at the speed fig that he put up. So he does seem to fire every race. He's more of a closer. There doesn't look like there's a lot of pace here. And again, if you like to play that jockey switch, I mentioned again, this guy does like to play that jockey switch. He loses Castellano off to what became my top pick in this race. Joe already alluded to it, the 3 broke guys angle, I guess maybe is what you want to call it. The idea that horses that are racing at optional 62.5 can jump right up and win right at the grade 3 level without too much trouble, especially ones that come from that obscure barn of Todd Pletcher. And lo and behold, Castellano hopped off of Eagle. This is the horse that he did hop onto. Again, he's going back to Todd Pletcher, so you can't read too much into that. Anybody would be crazy not to go with Pletcher, but they do hit 30% together. He's got some pace, some early zip in a race that doesn't look like it's got a ton of early zip, so he's got the outside post. I think if he's good enough, if he's got it from the outside, again, this is that uncoupled angle, so normally I would say don't split your Pletchers, but Pletcher's putting this guy in with a very classy horse. General A-Rod is his other entrant that's in here. We've all heard that horse's name. He was on the Derby Trail last year. And so as a result, I'm sticking there with J.S. Bach. If I'm going to back that up with a couple of picks underneath, again, I'm looking for long shots here because I'm going to get chalky later. So I looked to, I believe it's number 8 is Neck and Neck. And I also, everybody's going to be shocked about this, right, is that I went with number 4, Do You Know Something? the California Invader coming out there. So A.C. Avila, Flavian Prat. Again, just looking for that speed angle down there and looking for a price. So looking for something up in the first races that I don't think is going to be available maybe later on those last two. So neck and neck, I thought actually had the best pace possible for this race. And he's got a chance here. His last race, he lost a commissioner. We all know that's a really good horse. That was in the Hawthorne Gold Cup. Corey Landeros is a sneaky good jockey, so don't ignore that name there. When you look at his numbers and his percentages, even though he doesn't get the call like the other ones like that, he reminds me, I would wonder if maybe he's a little bit like a Rafael Bejarano over in the East Coast and stuff like that. His numbers are up there in that Castellano, John Velasquez neighborhood. Not that he's as good as them, it's just his percentages. So in this race, I believe I went with 10 and the 8. Let me see if I've got mine. It'll pop up here. Sorry about that. Yep. So and you can see there, I went long shots. I actually tossed the top two. I tossed the 5 and the 6. It's not that I don't think they're good enough. They both are. Noble Bird on his best day will actually blow this field away. But I was looking for a price. So I went 10-8 as my top two choices there. And if I was probably going in the pick 4 and I was going to go real deep, I'd probably go 10, 8, 4, and then maybe at that point in time even consider the 5. All right. Let's see. Back up here. Share my screen.
We might be pressing the all button here.
Yeah. Oh, good. Goody. He started off with my favorite word. Number 8, and it's funny because first on this one he's already talking about the all button. This is the Giants Causeway. It's for Phillies in there. Oh,
Rich, hang on a second. I just want to say,
No, I mean the last race.
if we want to put Eagle in the winner's circle, then yeah, if we want to we can go ahead and hit the all button.
No.
Because generally that's what happens to us anyway.
Yeah, I know.
We're putting Eagle. I mean, if we put Eagle in if we hit the all button, I'd just go empty the rest of the TVG account on Eagle to win. take the 2-1 and go.
Don't you hate that?
When I handicapped this sequence, unfortunately, I did. I came out with Noble Bird on top because of his class, and I came with Eagle probably as the second pick that was in here and things like that. It was when I got to the end and looked at the sequence and things like that that I think big red letters. I can show it to you on my form. I've got it written on here somewhere. It says pick 4 pays $47. Okay, that's exactly what my words.
I'm just hoping that we can find one long shot that'll make it pay at least 3 digits. At least 100 would be nice. Exactly.
Race 8. This is the Giants Causeway. It's for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upward. They're going 5.5 furlongs on turf. Purse is $100,000. You've got 12 starters, and your morning line favorite, Miss Matzabal, is in post number 5. Take it, Ray.
All right. I'm gonna go against the favorites here. Try and get a little bit of a price on Miss Ella, 6-1, number 7. This is her first race this year. Her early turf race was a solid second behind Lady Shipman at Saratoga last year. And she won at first asking, so the race layoff shouldn't be an issue here. And Grand Motion most likely will have her cranked up for this. Usually in turf sprints, horses off layoffs can run pretty well off a layoff. They don't have much distance to go, and they're usually fresh. And they could show some speed too. I'm going to use number 8, Tessalina, also 6-1. I believe she needed her last race. She drew very nicely for this one on the outside. She should be able to sit on the pace and make a 2 or 3 wide move around the far turn. And she had an eye-popping workout at Turf Paradise, 58-2 on that course. I'm going to throw in the favorite, Miss Matzabal. She has a better chance of gaining ground at this distance at 5.5 furlongs. She's in good form, and she's won 2 in a row. So I'm kind of like her a little bit, but I'm more concerned with the top 2. That I'm picking the 7 and the 8. And we can always throw in the 5 if you have to, if we have room on the ticket. All right. That's my analysis on the Giants Causeway.
Let me
Who's
take a
next?
peek over here.
Rich.
Yeah, Rich.
I'm
Okay.
gonna get. Right?
Okay, 7,
Let me
8,
see.
5.
Let's make sure we get this. We've got 7, 8, 5 for Ray.
Yeah. 5.
Oh, all right. And look at that. I'm actually right behind you, Ray. So let me make sure I got mine in here. I've got. And Ray are not all that far off on our handicapping here for tonight, it appears. So I'm trying to get back to the control section where I can show you my screen share. And I'll take you back over here. So I landed on the number 7, Miss Ella. So you got to figure if I can't find a California horse, then I'm going to try a California jockey. And Braden Van Dyke is the one that's in this one. So it's a stocking type for Graham Motion. And he is away from the West Coast, so I don't have to worry about any of the problems he's been having out here in California. She's very talented. Only try on the grass was at today's distance. That was last summer at Saratoga, if I'm not mistaken. Me and Ray were handicapping that day, which may be why we're landing on this horse.
Yeah.
That speed fig from that race, that particular speed fig from that race is the highest speed on turf in this race today. There's a few little discrepancies that are going on, but she actually has the highest one. She has been off for 5 months. Motion is fine. He hits 20% off the layoff. Because Graham Motion has been out here in California, he's used Braden Van Dyke before. They actually hit 17% together as a connection. I landed on Miss Ella as my top pick. Again, I am looking for prices because I'm thinking I'm going to get chalky later in the next 2 races. So I skipped over Jewel of a Cad. I skipped over Miss Matzo Ball, even though she'd won 2 in a row at Gulfstream and looked really talented like that. I went all the way down, and again, you had to figure it wasn't going to take you long to figure this one. I went number 2, Miss Double Dioro, again, a California invader. She's talented. She looks like she's more of a hillside specialist from California coming in here. So I have a big question mark on my notepad saying, is this one of those hill horses? And in California, the hill is the hill is the hill, and there are some horses that run really, really good on the Santa Anita Hill course, and they don't run like that anywhere else in America. But I have seen some of those good hillside turf course sprinters who happen to have a penchant for the 5.5 furlong turf. She can close. Neil Drysdale is an excellent horseman, and for anybody who might be wondering why did he send him here, Santa Anita is closed. Los Alamitos has no turf racing. He was looking for a spot for his horse to race in, so that's why she's out there. I like this connection. So Jose Lascano, if you look back on her racing form, and again, this will be for more of a California horse player, she beat a horse recently. They call her the Unicorn. That's Dreamologist that she beat, and that's one of the most talented horses that we've seen out here last year that's in that lower stakes company that would fit very, very well here. If I put Dreamologist in this field, I have a feeling she'd be 9 to 5. So the other horse that I would have thrown in there, and Ray also mentioned her, was Tessalina for all the same reasons, but in particular because it's Wesley Ward, Ken Desormo, and I'm following around all the California guys that I found here at Keeneland today, which seems like it's a gift for me. Don't forget, it is my birthday. So this was a speed type that shift out to the west. Got beat by the number 2 above, got beat by Miss Double Dioro. So we'll see. I would have gone in this race, and again, I'm looking for more of a price. So I think I went 7, 2, and I believe I also used the 8. Let me just see if I can broadcast there. And I will show you my template. And there you go, 7, 2, 8. Again, if I was handicapping the race straight, Miss Matzo Ball was a little tough to toss, having won 2 in a row, having been sharp at Gulfstream, and Gulfstream's a really good part to come in from. So I really like that horse. Again, I was concerned about me going too short on the odds. But if I was going to use another horse, it would be the 5, Miss Matzo Ball in this case. And again, I might have some options because these last 2 races I didn't go too deep. I am going to hand this off to Joe. And Joe, take it away. the
Thanks,
Giants
Rich.
Causeway.
Yeah, thank you, Rich. Ironically, I think we're all pretty much on the same horses, except for let me just get to it. I actually like Miss Matzo Ball as my top pick, and I don't think she's going to be as short a price as everybody thinks she might, because I think the Roy Lehrman trainer, I think he's just a little too obscure for some of these Keeneland blue bloods. Yes, I see Harry Castellanos up, and I understand. Miss Matzo Ball is the morning line favorite at 3-1, but I think you might get all of 3-1, and you may even get more than that, because, like I said, because the trainer is not somebody who's generally well known at Keeneland. He runs on the Maryland circuit. I know he runs some horses up at Saratoga, so I think. And Rich, you alluded to the fact that she's coming out of races at Gulfstream, and if of all the tracks in the country to run at Keeneland, I would go from my top choice would be to take a horse that's coming out of the races at Gulfstream to run as well as they could at Keeneland and to keep their form. My second choice was Tessalina, and my choice there was for a little bit different reason. I mean, I know Rich mentioned the Wesley Ward Kent Stormore connection, and we saw last week, Rich, with our own two eyes, who's hotter than Kent Stormore right now.
Nobody.
But what I actually kind of see is, I look back at that last race that she ran down the hill, and she was on the lead. I don't think she's an on the lead type. I think she's going to sit off the pace, because if you look at those fractions, this horse ran 22 and 45, and on that turf course, that's really slow coming down the hill. So I don't really think she wanted to be on the lead. I just think she happened to be the fastest in that field. I think she'll be sitting off the pace. So I think Jewel of a Cat and Maggie's Freudian Slip and maybe one other exaggerated might be able to set it up for these two. So I like Tessalina, and I like her as an off the pace type. And I'm also with Rich on Miss Double Doro. And I had the same concerns that you did, Rich, about the fact that she looks like she's a course specialist. I understand Neil Drysdale has to run her somewhere, but there's no hillside turf course again until 6 months from now, when they return to Santa Anita in October for the Breeders' Cup meet. So my top choices were 5, 8, and the 2 underneath. I would only go 2 deep if I was going in a pick 4. But I also want to mention one angle about Mike Stidham, who's the trainer of Rapid Rhythm, and he's had a good run of luck, 3 for 5 on the Keeneland turf course in sprint races. So I wouldn't necessarily be shocked if that horse ran a big number, and might even win the race. But I understand we have to go only so deep. So I would go. My top 2 choices would be the 5, then the 8, and then the 2 after that if we go deeper than that.
5, 8, 2, and then you're mentioning, but the 10 would be your if you had.
If we wanted to go deeper, I like the 10, and I want to. I guess I'll mention Miss Ella as well. The only reason that I'm concerned about Miss Ella is that she was basically running against 3-year-olds only last year. Now she's stepping up against older horses. I understand there are really no world beaters, and she was classy last year, and she could win. But I think a lot of people are all going to see those Grade 1 races, and I'm really not sure you're going to get 6-1 on Miss Ella. It might play in a pick 4 because you're not going to get to see what her real odds are going to be until the 8th race, which means we're already into the pick 4, so that can't affect that figure. I just think she's going to be a little lower, and I think Miss Matzo Ball is going to be a little bit higher. And again, I'm concerned about the 3-year-old stepping up to face older horses for the first time, and the fact that she hasn't been out in 5 months.
All right. Here. And I am going to be up next here as we head into the Lexington. And okay, and so we're heading on to race number 9, and this is the Lexington. It's a Grade 3 for 3-year-olds only. They're going 1 mile and a 16th on the dirt. The purse is $150,000. Just as a note, there are 10 Kentucky Derby points on the line for this race. 10 starters, and your morning line favorite, Swipe, is in post number 4. and I am going to get things going in Lexington. Um, Swipe, excuse me. Swipe, number 4, if he's ready and they don't load Nyquist into the race, he wins, and he wins big. He's class. He's a stalking type. He draws Flavian Pratt, which is really an interesting thing, again, for those of us who like to play the jockeys. The fact of the matter is Kent DeSormo is the normal rider for Swipe, and Kent DeSormo is in Keeneland today, but he's not riding Swipe. And he has no mount in this race. He's not riding in the Lexington, so very interesting. Let's face it, they're not going to load Nyquist into this race. So now you're just down to the other caveat is Swipe ready? He's coming off a really long layoff. We haven't seen him since the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He had a hoof problem, and Kent and Keith DeSormo take very, very good care of their horses. Keith DeSormo was quoted as saying he was not going to get this horse back until he was ready, so I am just making the assumption and trusting in the DeSormo brothers that the horse is now ready. He was the second best horse in America, because the best horse in America is also out here. It's just a matter to see is he still the second best horse in America. So I didn't really have to work very hard to come up with Swipe on that one. If Swipe is not ready, if the layoff is something that he's going to need a race to come back, if he's no longer the second best horse in America, then that Bob Baffert guy. This is the other Baffert. This is his third horse behind More Spirit and Cupid. He's called Collected, number 10. He's drawn outside. He's got speed. This really wasn't his path to the Derby initially. If you look on his racing form, he's the Baffert horse that he was going to send through Sunland this year. The Sunland Derby got taken off as a graded stakes race. They had an equine herpes virus outbreak there. They changed it into a Sunland Racing Festival. And if I'm not mistaken, Collected won a very big, like a $400,000 race. That was an ungraded stakes that was there on that card that day. No Derby points. So this is kind of an interesting move to see that Baffert's sending him over here where there are 10 points on the line. I'm not sure if he's looking for possibly another entrant into the Kentucky Derby. His big one's going to be Cupid going in the Arkansas Derby that day. So the other interesting thing that I thought, and I was going to ask somebody's take on this one, is Martin Garcia is the normal rider, not only just for Collected, he's the number one rider for Bob Baffert. And he travels. Martin's got the money, and he normally goes around the country riding on Bob Baffert horses, and he's not here today. He has gone with, I believe, Castellano. Not that I'm knocking Castellano. I mean, if you like $1 million Eclipse winning jockeys and that. So, again, speed, Baffert, outside post, and if Swipe is not up to what he is, then this race is real simple, and it's just 4-10. If you want to be risky, if you really want to throw in somebody and say, this race is going to pop, and I could see that. Let's say that Swipe doesn't fire, and he's not up to what he normally is, and he's not back to what he was, and Collected gets caught in a speed duel, Collected gets caught wide, something happens to Collected, and you're looking for a third horse, then Mark Casse has a very good horse. His name is Riker, who's in this one. He's got Florent Giroux on the horse. The horse was a wind machine last year until he ran into Nyquist. So that's the common thing that they all have. Riker also ran into Swipe that day. So this is he's back, on the comeback trail. And again, interesting move by Casse sending him down here to the Lexington. I am going to hand it off to Ray.
All right. My pick 4, I'm going to use 2 horses here. I have a top pick. I'm going to go against the favorite. I like number 8, Riker. He got the speed to stalk and get the first jump. His only greatest stakes here. Also with Collected. He actually led the best 2-year-olds in the country for about 7 furlongs in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And he probably near his last race. And which happened to be the Tampa Bay Derby, which in my eyes came up very, very strong. I mean, I talked about that a few weeks ago. How Destin and Outwork, they ran their eyeballs out. And actually, Outwork came back to win the Wood Memorial. And Destin's been on the Derby Trail. So he's been running against some 2 good horses. And now it's actually his comeback race. So he's going to be more fit. And I think he's going to win this race. Swipe have to catch him. I think Swipe, I know he's been running to Nyquist. He's my second choice. He doesn't seem to have that acceleration that you're looking for to win a race like this. I think he's very vulnerable. He is the class of the race, and I believe the barn's probably playing catch up with him because it's his first race of the year, and we're already into mid-April. So he might need a race, and he could be very, very vulnerable here. That's all I can use. The 8 and the 4. But I do like Riker on top to win the race. All right, Joe?
Thanks, Ray. Actually, Rich, just so that you know, I know Martin Garcia's got another engagement with Mr. Baffert in Hot Springs. He's riding Cupid today. So I think that obviously that tells me more. It tells me that I know Martin wants to win a Derby at some point. And Collected, if Collected wins the race, I don't know if Collected's going to get in even if he does win the race. I'm not sure if he has enough from winning the Sham and running fourth in the Southwest, because the race in New Mexico, as you pointed out, was not graded and did not have any Derby point attached. It just happened to be a $415,000 purse. And as much as Baffert owns Oaklawn, he owns Sunland Park even more. But anyway, to get back to this race, I actually went with the same two horses Rich went, and I actually like Collected a little bit more than I like Swipe. And the only reason for that is, well, actually, it's two reasons. One is I think he's going to be able to set a nice trip. He'll sit off of Riker and one more round around the first turn. And he showed in the Sham that he can rate if he needs to earlier this year. And the other reason is because he's got recency on his side. He's been running. He's hasn't missed any training. He's had no issues health-wise, at least that we know of. So I think he's got a little bit more recency, and he's got a better has a better chance of winning this race. Swipe, you can't knock. He's been chasing Nyquist around, and obviously it seems as if everything that has run that Nyquist has beat has flattered Nyquist ultimately anyway. And the morning line here, I'm not sure you're going to get quite as high a morning as you see on the morning. So the morning line, I believe, is Swipe 9-5 and Collected is 2-1. I think you can see them being that close in the wagering, but I'm thinking more like you'll see closer to what you saw with Mo Heyman and Nyquist in the Florida Derby, more like even money and 6-5. But unfortunately, sometimes with pick fours and with any race, you actually sometimes have to take what's given to you and hit the ball that's pitched. So I don't know that I can go much deeper than those two. I kind of like Direct Message a little bit for the speed angle if I had to throw in a third. But realistically, to me, this is a two-horse race. It's Collected and it's Swipe. And I think Collected gets first run, and he's got recency on his side. And he gets the money here from me.
All right. So you've got 10 over 4?
Correct.
All right. And I believe I had the other way around. I believe I was 4 over 10. Okay.
I lost connection there.
You lost the connection, and I've got somebody like Crank calling me from a cell phone.
Oh.
Crank calling you, or is it Is it American Express or somebody? Not that we're not sponsoring American Express, by the way.
Yeah, no, I had someone on a wireless telephone number, so I apologize for that.
Bill collectors.
No. What I'm going to do is, since the NBA is allowing a patch on jerseys in a couple years, I'm going to start wearing decals on my shirt every week so that we can get some sponsorships.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
If the NBA can do it, why can't Three Broke Guys?
I guess my hat would, that would have been the first one I could have put that on there.
We can be like billboards.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be like soccer jerseys, or actually no, NASCAR. Well, like I don't know, we could have decals all over us like NASCAR drivers are.
All right, we are heading into the final race. We've got about 6 minutes left here before the end of the hour, and we are going to turn this over to Joe for his detailed analysis of. And excuse me, I apologize there. We are up to the 10th, and this is the Jenny Wiley. It's a grade 1, and they're going a mile and a 16th on the dirt. The purse is for 4-year-old fillies and upward. $350,000 purse. We are going to scratch number 1, Miss Temple City. She did not want to go against Tepin, so she just opted to win the Maker's Mark today. That leaves 9 starters, and your morning line favorite, Tepin, is in post number 8. One more time, over to you, Joe.
Rich, what is the morning line on Tepin? Is she even money or 4 to
It was
5?
4 to 5.
4 to 5. Okay. Well, this analysis does not
1 to 5.
take much. Tepin is the horse to beat. Best turf miler in the country, maybe best turf miler in the world. So I'm not going to overanalyze this. I'm going to hit the ball that's pitched. I'm going to take it and run with it. I think we single here. There are two interesting European invaders.
Okay.
Akatea from the Christophe Clement bond for Jose Lescano, and Wakila is for the Chad Brown barn, and she gets Gary Stevens, and they both have the first time Lasix angle in their favor, so they could upset the apple cart, but I just think Tepin has. She's just the best horse, and ironically, looking at the pace, she may even have a pace advantage over this field. So if you get the best horse with a pace advantage, it kind of reminds me of American Pharoah. Why are you going to fight fate? Just if she wins, great. If she loses, we were probably going to lose anyway. So I'm just going to take Tepin single E8 and hand it off to Ray for his analysis of the Jenny Wiley.
Same here. Tepin in front. She's a winner of 7 of 9. She's ahead in the nose from 9 in a row. I mean, she's 3-time Grade 1 winner. At a mile, she's going to be tough to beat. She actually, I mean, I watched the last race, and I was like, oh my goodness, what's Isabella Sings doing? Up by 15 at every call, and she ran her down like it was nothing. So definitely the horse to beat. I'm going to single Tepin also. We're going to single her, hopefully. And Joe, actually, the same issue I had with Akitia and Wikla, first time US and first time Lasix.
Mm-hmm.
That could shock us, but we're hoping not. Besita's in the race. She beat Tepin last race, but out there the same horse right now, so not a chance today. Tepin, hopefully we're live, get the payoff, and we can ride with this. Rich, you like Tepin?
Yeah, up to me. Good to hear. Let me see. I'm genuinely hoping that we can because I agree with Joe. I believe that she's not just the finest filly. I think that she is one of the finest horses on the face of planet Earth. And as we all know, the Breeders' Cup will be this year at Santa Anita. And Ray, we're certainly hoping that you'll come back out and join us again.
I will try.
Thing for the Three Broke Guys. The Tepin will be there. I am hoping that we will get to see her racing with Beholder that day. That'll be a wonderful treat for all the fans. So that's my genuine hope for racing for this year. As far as my racing analysis, yeah, I wasn't going to be the one that was going to go. Let me see if I get my template up here. I was not about to be the one that was going to go against Tepin. But I will bring up our racing form here, just so we could take a look at. I mean, the fact of the matter is scratches happen, stuff happens, for lack of a better word. Things can happen, and she can wake up and spike a temperature and things like that. And Joe touched on the two horses. It seems that Christophe Clement, and I believe it's Chad Brown is the other trainer, they have the exact same idea that I would have if somebody sat there and said, so how are you going to go ahead and beat Tepin? And I'd sit there and say,
Go
I'm going to go to another country on the other side of the world and see if I can find a different horse over there that can beat her, because there's nobody over here unless that horse that Joe is feeding carrots to decide they're going to hook up together, beat her. And so that's this horse, by the way, ran on that's Arc Day. And the other one is, and again, they're a little bit tough to pronounce, but Wakila, and this is Chad Brown, and Chad Brown also went looking for somebody who was running on Arc Day. So again, Chad Brown and Christophe Clement being the kind of trainers that they are, again, that's exactly what I would do is I would go shopping in France or in Great Britain or someplace, some far-off land to see if I could find a horse that could beat this freak that we're all talking about that we call Tepin. Because she is the best race horse, or at least at this point in time, in America. I certainly wouldn't want to race against her. So. I singled. I just went with the 8. If I was going to use backups in this case, they would both be on the B line, and I would have used the 6 and the 2. And I always like to mention that Decida is the one horse that if I walk around the stable sitting there saying, I beat Tepid. You do, I beat Tepid. I beat her once. I did beat her. So that's her claim to fame. I would imagine this is the of the East Coast right now. To a conclusion, this is where we come up with our final consensus on what we think might be a good pick 4.
Yeah.
I'll stop sharing my screen here. Let's see if I can
I'll
bring up one of our blank templates.
Mets win 6-5.
Oh, the Mets won 6-5?
6-5, yeah, they won. Familia was a little shaky today, but he got the save. Power. Conforto, Cespedes, Piazza, home runs.
Who would we like on our ticket here for race number 7? I believe that was the Ben Ali. Do we have any kind of a consensus between our 3 tickets? Let me see.
Yeah, that race came up very deep.
Rich, both you and I liked J.S. Bach, so I would think we've got to put J.S. Bach on the ticket.
And I believe Ray's got J.S. Bach on his top line as well. Ray's got the 6, 5, and the 7 as well.
And to be honest, I think we should probably go as deep as we need to in order to stay alive, because we know towards the end, the only obviously we're singling in the last. The only question about the Lexington would be: are we going 2 deep or are we going 3 deep? And if we go 3 deep, maybe we would need to pare it down a little bit, but because that's. I guess we can cross that bridge in about, I don't know, 2 minutes.
Let's see here. So I'm going to clear that one. I'm going to put the 10. Let's go down so small.
Whoa.
All right. So the 10 goes on this line. Who else do we have any kind of consensus here on? Let's see. Joe, you also had the 5. I believe that's Noble Bird.
I had Noble Bird, but like I said, I'm not beholden to. I know you had reservations about him.
Well, I see Ray's got Noble Bird as well.
Right.
So and again, I kind of agree with your analysis. And Ray's, I think you were kind of going that way as well. I see you at 4 deep in this race. Of go deep early, because we know we've got to close it.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, we got Craig Kimbrell at the end.
Exactly. The 10 is definitely a consensus. The 5, we've got 2 of the 3 broke guys that at least want to go with the 5. And okay, so Ray has also got the 6. That's Eagle. And Joe, you just went to 2 deep. And Rich, I really just went to 2 deep. I went with the 8 was the other one that I threw in there. I can go either way. Again, thinking that we would want to go as deep as we need to here. Maybe let's use the 8. I'll put the 8 on the 3rd line, because that's only a 1 guy.
Okay, the 8 is neck and neck, Rich.
Neck and neck.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, only 1 broke guy's got that one, so we'll put that one down a little bit low.
We can do that. I mean, we could. Why don't we do this? We could use the 10 and the 5, and let's put the 6. Is it this? Because I know Ray mentioned the 6 and the 7. We can leave them. We can leave them underneath as possibilities. But let's start with the certainties first, I guess.
How about that? The 10 and the 5 on top, the 6, 7, and the 8.
Perfect.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Perfect. And again, we'll revisit this shortly.
On to race number 8. And again, I got Ray with the 7, the 8, and the 5. Joe, I've got with the 8 and the 5.
Mm-hmm.
And Rich, I have this should be the 7 and the 2.
So 5, 7, 8 with the 2 as a backup.
And what was the other one that Ray had? 7, the 8, and the 5.
Mm-hmm.
8 and the 5. So this one over here becomes 5, 8.
Oh, you guys both like the 7, so don't.
Yeah, 7. Yeah.
Yeah, put the 7 in there too, Rich.
And the 7.
We still live until Trump becomes president. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? We still until Trump becomes president, we still live in a democracy. So since you guys both like the horse, we'll put it in the ticket.
And we are up to race 9 here. All right, so this is the Lexington. And Ray's got the 8 and the 4. And Joe's got the 10 and the 4. And I believe I've got the 4 and the 10.
Yep.
4 and the 10. So we'll go this way. We'll go 4. And we got the 8 underneath. And our last one, we got the 8, right?
The simplest thing we'll ever do. I think we didn't. Yeah. Well, if she loses, I think we'll all be kind of surprised. And it's one thing we can guarantee, we can say is we can never say it was your fault that we lost on. No, if Tepin loses, we're going home with our tails between our legs, and just about everybody else at the track that day is too.
We all went down together.
Yeah, we're going down on the Tepin ship.
Okay.
And
if we want, if we want a single Tepin, in this last race, if we're all comfortable with Tepin, we can get away with. It looks like here we can actually go 2250. And we can use everything that we've got in the first 3 boxes if we want. We can go all 5.
It's 30. Was it?
Is it 30?
Wait. It's 5. Wait a minute.
5
by 3 by 3.
It's 45.
3.
50 cents is
40. 45. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
That sounds
good. I have no problem with that.
Yep.
And this bottom line here is more like they're way down there. This is the only reason that these 2, 3, or 6 would ever even come into play would be that we'd probably have to call each other because Tepin scratched.
Well, I was gonna say if Tepin scratches, then we've got to redo this again all tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that dilemma.
Either that or we just play a pick 3 and we go for we can forget. I mean, we forget race 10 even exists. But yeah, no, I understand. We can do this. That would be fine. 2250 works for me. Heck, it's funny. Looking at it, I'd almost even want to add more to it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, but I don't, because we don't want I mean, not that I don't want the ticket to pay $47.50, but I'd rather it pay $47.50 than 0.
Well, amen. Yeah. As I was, when I'm handicapping, I try and handicap a sequence.
Right.
So as I was aware that I was in that dilemma for Santa Anita. It was just, as you said, sometimes you can't change fate. I like to project, but I can't do it at the cost of sitting there saying, well, you've seen me at the races before, Joe.
Yeah, I don't think, Rich, you're ever going to just throw out Tepin because you don't think the price is going to pay enough.
Right, exactly.
If we're going to add a horse, I would probably suggest race number 8. That's probably the bigger field. And I think the Lexingtons has really come up as form as those 2, 3 horses going to run. So I think probably the sprint, probably we could look at the sprint a little deeper.
Yeah. I was with you. That would have been the one. That's the one race that looks like that Joe kind of went 5 deep in there.
Yeah, that race you could probably go one more for $30 ticket.
Sure. Like I said, I know Mike Stidham's had a pretty good luck on the Keeneland turf course of late. And he's won 3 of his last 5. And Rapid Rhythm. I'm not sure what. Okay, there you go. 21 morning line. I think he actually fits that angle, that the newly minted 3 broke guys angle, which reminds me, Rich, we need to copyright that. He just won a non-winners at 2 He just won an optional claimer, non-winners at 2 at the fairgrounds. So he gets Florent Giroux back aboard. Why not? I mean, good work at Keeneland. April 10th, 47-2, third best of 75. The horse is in good form. The figures are low.
Do we have we don't have the 2 covered on here though. The Miss Double D'Oro.
No, we don't. I know we both did mention her, but our concerns were more about the fact that she might be just a California hillside turf course specialist. We don't know that, but yeah, I know you and I both mentioned her.
Yeah.
And she did beat Terralina last out. So I would have honestly, I have no problem including both of them.
Yeah. Yep.
But
that's the one. I mean, as I'm looking back on this, yeah, I put the 7 because I was okay with Miss Ella, but my second choice on that particular race, I did have the 2. It was Miss Double D'Oro. Like I said, I was willing to go around Jewel of the Cat. I was actually willing to go around Miss Matzo Ball, not because I didn't think she was good enough, just because I didn't like the price.
Right.
But Miss Double D'Oro, I kind of have that one sits right with me.
No, one of my concerns is the turf course angle. The other concern is that she's shortening up from 6.5 to 5.5. She's going to have to get going a little sooner. Not that she can't, because generally those turf horses, in turf sprints, you only run about 3 furlongs anyway, or 3.5. So she would just have to get started a little earlier. But I have no objection to adding her to the ticket.
If I go this way,
that would be 5 by 4 by 3 by 1. So that would be a $30 ticket.
$30, yeah.
But now here's the other problem we're running into. We're getting close to a point where, okay, the $30 ticket, if we win a $47 pick 4, here we go. It's like, okay, I understand Rich's trepidation, and I don't expect Miss Double D'Oro to be one of the favorites.
No, that's why I'm okay with you.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Like I said, I just want to find. I think the 2 earlier races are the best possibilities for long shots.
Yeah.
In this sequence, and honestly, if Tepin or Collected or Swipe don't win in the 9th and the 10th, you're gonna blow up the tote board anyway. It won't make any difference, and we wouldn't have had it.
Right.
So I'd rather add more and get alive to those 2, to those last 2 legs, and take the chance that we're gonna win $17 or whatever it is. But like I said, $17 profit is better than $30 loss.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So so if we want to do 5 by 4 by 3 by 1, that's cool with me.
Yep, looks like it'd be
all 1-1.
I don't think you can quite go 1 deep in the lexicon. I know Rich likes Swipe an awful lot, but
Yeah.
I think Collected's going to have a lot to say about who wins that race.
That's true. Had he had a race, maybe, but he's.
Well, again, I
We
don't.
we don't know what we're gonna get, really.
Right. Well, with Swipe, I don't think they're trying to make the Derby. Exaggerator ran so good last week. I think that the Stormers are going with 1. They're not going to try and make it with a second. So I just think that. I don't want to say this is his Derby. I'm thinking they may be saving this horse for the swaps. Well, actually, I don't know if they call it the swaps anymore now that they'd be running it at Santa Anita.
It's something else.
The swaps, the Dwyer, the Haskell, stuff that they're not going to run Exaggerator in if he's as good as they think he is.
Right.
All right.
Or maybe the Belmont. He's out of a Broadstone, so.
Yeah, possibility.
That's possible.
All right. So for the Keeneland ticket for the 16th, and for the 3 broke guys, races 7 through 10. This is what our ticket. I'll change the update here. The price. $30 ticket. We've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. We've got 2, 5, 7, 8. We've got 4, 8, 10, and we've got with 8.
And if Tepin scratches, then literally and figuratively, all bets are off.
Yeah, we're back to
The
handicap.
picture would be $1. The picture would be $1. That's you talking.
No, no. I thought Keeneland's pick threes are actually 50 cents, but
Oh, they are.
let
Oh.
me
Yeah,
let me.
you're
I
right.
believe yeah, I
They're
believe
50
they're
cent
50
trees. I
Oh,
was
we
cents.
can
looking
make the
at the
same
form.
bet. We can
Yeah,
make
I
the
mean
same bet then.
we can make this. I would just as easily make the same bet with the three if
Yeah,
that's okay with everybody.
yeah, that's fine. We need action.
No, yeah. Well,
We won last week. We
no,
need
no
action.
teammates. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Rich. We broke the schneid.
Yeah,
Yes, Rich.
we did.
Yeah.
Actually,
It's only 40.
And my
Only.
two B horses won. Who have to pick for? We didn't play that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Salute.
I know. We don't have time? Do we have time for the Arkansas Derby?
you know what? If you want to pull it up real quick, eye capping on the Arkansas Derby. Let me see if I got my form up here for it.
I kind of did. Not. I wouldn't say a lot, but
I knew how.
I'm an interested spectator, obviously.
Hold on 1 second.
Oh yes, you are.
No, for not for the reasons you might think. But I'm an interested spectator. It's a 3-year-old race. It's a big race. It's going to affect who gets in and who doesn't get in.
Definitely, yeah.
And
the more speed it gets in, and you don't want.
Well, again, I'm not worried about that at this point. I just right now, and I said this about 3 weeks ago. If the horse makes the gate on Derby Day, it was worth making the wager to begin with.
Right, absolutely.
Whether he gets home at 75-1, more power. I will for sure. And again, I'll be at a bat mitzvah that day, so I don't even know if I'll even be able to get to watch the race live. But I will have a rooting interest for about 5 or 6 furlongs at least. At least for 5 or 6 furlongs, my heart will be going pretty fast. So do we want to
one last screen share here? It's the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. This is actually in Hot Springs, Arkansas. So this is off the beat path for us here. We're taking one last look at the final Grade 1 prep for the Kentucky Derby. Again, this is the Arkansas Derby. It's the 80th running of the Arkansas Derby. Purse is $1 million for 3-year-olds only. They're going 1 1/8 on the dirt. You know what? Go ahead. I'm going to hand it off to Ray. Ray, you want to give us your thoughts on the Arkansas Derby?
Oh, I honestly didn't look at the race.
All right. You know what?
I need some papers, quick.
I can take you, Rich. I did handicap the race.
Next.
Right.
Okay. It's funny. Arkansas and Oakland Park. It seems as if this track plays about as fairly as Keeneland does. You can win from pretty much anywhere. We've seen speed win. We've seen mid-pack horses win. You've seen deep closers win. So, fortunately, I think the best horse is going to win, except for the fact that there's a 12-horse field. So there might be some come from behinders who could be compromised by just the sheer size of the field alone. It looks like there's enough speed in the race to set it up for a closer. So I would be hesitant to pick one of the speed horses. I do kind of think that the Dazzling Gem might have the lead with about 3 furlongs to go. And an interesting tidbit, and we brought up Dazzling Gem a while back. Dazzling Gem beat American Pioneer, but if you look at the morning line, American Pioneer is lower on the morning line than Dazzling Gem is. So I'm not sure how reliable that morning line is. But anyway, I think Dazzling Gem could be on the lead as they hit the 3 furlong marker. And I do think Cupid is in a very precarious predicament. I think ideally Bob would like to get Martin Garcia to get him to rate a little bit, because I think there is a lot of speed in this race. I don't think he's going to go to the lead again. If he does, I'll be surprised, because there's a lot of speed signed up inside of him, and he could be caught really wide on that first turn. So I think Bob may want to rate him a little bit more today. But even still, I think he's going to be wide based on his post position draw. I kind of like Creator to actually mow them all down to get the extra money. He was closing fast in the Rebel. I think he's going to appreciate the extra ground. And I know we discussed the dam The dam ran third behind some pretty good horses, and Rachel Alexandra was one of them back in 2010. So I think Creator can actually get the money here. I think he's going to get a nice pace setup. With the closers, you always have to think about traffic. I think Cupid may get a little blind switched here. I think Whitmore may actually try to make his move a little earlier to see if he can get in front of Cupid before Cupid gets to the top of the lane in front. So he may actually go sooner. But I just have a feeling that Cupid may encounter a little bit of traffic issues, whether it's being blind switched, meaning that he can't get out while a horse on the outside of him is just moving faster than he is. And I just think Creator is going to be a one-run type, a lot like Sudden Breaking News was in the Southwest when he won his big race. I'm not sure. Sudden Breaking News was a win machine, and he did have a little traffic trouble that day. And that's one thing I mentioned earlier about the closers in big fields. There's always that possibility. It happens in the Derby every year, and there's 20 in there. It happens in 12-horse fields at Oaklawn Park. But I think the race is fair, and I think Creator's actually going to get in. I kind of like Whitmore to run second, and I figure Cupid will run at least third, and he'll be a good representative. He'll run a good race. I just think there may be some traffic issues, and I'm just trying to beat favorites. I always try to beat favorites. So I would be going Cupid, Whitmore. I'm sorry, Creator, then Whitmore, then Cupid in that order in the Arkansas Derby.
You know, I'll take a quick shot at it here. The curiosity I had as I looked through the race and as I looked through the Oaklawn card really quickly, and we had been doing the Keeneland one as well and things like that, was I couldn't help but notice that if you look at the big names that are here, is that Rafael Bejarano is here, and Joe Talamo is here, and then down a little bit lower there's Martin Garcia who's here, and of course over at Keeneland we saw Drayden Van Dyke and Kent DeSormo and Gary Stevens. And so here's the trivia question: is who's riding Los Al on Saturday in California? Because this is the whole colony. Nobody's here.
Edwin Maldonado and Tyler Bays will probably dominate on Saturday. Yeah. And Joe Talamo is obviously here to ride Melatonin in the Oaklawn Park Handicap 2 races prior to the Arkansas Derby.
So this one's not. I mean, this one's not a hard one. There's a star horse from California. We saw him earlier this year, and we actually handicapped the Rebel when Cupid got in there. Again, $900,000 Bob Baffert horse. You've got Martin Garcia. Even though he's got a little bit of an outside post foot to 12. Again, I often think about Michelle Yu back in that TV show Horse Players that we used to watch, where she said, just don't overthink it and don't get too cute. If I was going to use 2 in this race, I would also probably use Whitmore. He was the one other horse that I saw in the Rebel that looked like he could give Cupid some trouble if he had a little bit of a better trip. But I do think Cupid is the class of this field. I think it's Bob Baffert. I think he's got at least 2 Derby entries. We'll see what else he's doing. So that would be it for the not a real deep analysis there on the Arkansas
I
Derby.
kind of like Whitmore from last time, so I'll stick with him. I think Dazzling Gem probably will improve off of his last race, get more experience. I like that horse too. Cupid could have himself, I don't know, could be himself most likely. I think Joe's right. He's gonna probably just try and rate him and set him up for the Derby. And don't forget that Lucas man. He's in there. Gray Sky. He's in the game.
Well, again, we've discussed him on more than one occasion about he doesn't like empty stalls.
If you look at the Rebel, I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, he closed in the middle of the race and it's flattened out. So
I just think he's going. For some reason, I think he's going back to the speed tactics, and I think he's going to be one of 3 or 4 that are up.
Yeah, could be.
It's funny. I was looking at the time form. I saw a tweet about time form's pace analysis for this race. They actually think Cupid's going to the lead along with Gray Sky and one other horse inside, and I think it's going to be a pretty quick pace. Like I said, I don't believe. I think they're going to try and rate. I don't believe that Baffert. I think Baffert saw what happened to Danzig Candy, and they decided not to rate him, and that they were going to go. I think Cupid's going to be much better off if they try and rate him a little bit. He doesn't need the points. He got his 50 from the Rebel, and I just think he'll be better off. And Baffert knows it's not about winning the Arkansas Derby; it's about winning the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah. Dazzling Gem. Switch to Talamo. That could be a big improvement.
One other fact that I saw on Twitter today, that's the social, and just one more aside, Three Broke Guys is now on Twitter. We can be followed at Three Broke Guys, so you can tweet us if you'd like. The other thing I saw on Twitter is that Dazzling Gem would be the only horse of this 3-year-old crop who's running 2 100-point races.
Oh,
He
wow.
ran in the Louisiana Derby,
Yeah.
and he's running tomorrow in the Arkansas Derby. He's the only horse who'd run in 2, and I think Destin would have run in 2 if Todd Pletcher wanted to get another race in him, whether it be the Wood or one of the other 100-point preps. But obviously he thought better, and he thought putting him on the sidelines for 6 weeks was better for the horse.
Yeah.
Rich, is it time to wrap it up?
I believe it is. Anybody got anything else before we wrap up for the evening?
Are we gonna preview next week?
Next week, I believe, Joe, didn't you have you've got a suggestion for us? Want to throw it out there?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought, since there really is no wonderful card next week, and I'm not sure if there's like a big Apple Stakes Classic day for New York Breds, or there's no Cal Cup because they're running at Los Alamitos. And I don't really think handicapping 5 and 6 horse fields at Los Al is a big deal. I suggested that since it's got a 20-cent base wager, we try and tackle the Rainbow Six at Gulfstream next week. What do you guys think?
That sounds good.
I got the same calendar on the wall that the race checking.
The Woodhaven Stakes.
Slide my camera over a little bit so you can see down there.
No, you know what Woodhaven is, right?
Yeah, no, believe me, I know Woodhaven.
I have no idea what the commissions are.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was a stakes race named after the bowling alley.
That's more like an allowance race for some horses. Who knows?
But anyway, like I said, I thought maybe the Rainbow Six might be an interesting idea to tackle. We each get 3. We could probably get some races in our specialty, and with a 20-cent base wager, we could put together a $50 or $60 ticket and cover a decent number. I didn't think we were going after this to try and take down the whole pool, but I think it was 70%. Is it 70% that goes back to the players, and then 30% goes into the Rainbow Six pool that keeps going? But I think the pool was at 300 some odd thousand last year. I don't know exactly what the pool is at currently.
I heard it the other day, and I can't remember what they were saying. I remember I was on a conference call, and I was trying to listen to it, and they were saying it. It's up there again. It's in 6 figures.
It's probably at least, I would guess, probably around 500K. I mean, we can try and pull it up before we end the show if you'd like.
We can let people know.
Because I know Equibase usually has a carryover listing, but yeah, we'll tweet it out there for you.
Yeah, and next week we'll let everybody know what it is. It'll be bigger by then anyway.
This is true.
All right, I think that's all the time we have for tonight. If you enjoyed the show, we will be back next week. You just heard Joe talk about it. We're going to get together and try and take down the Rainbow Six at Gulfstream Park. For Joe English and Ray Rock, I'm Rich Sharp. Thank you and good
night.
Good night.